Every time interest rates rise, investors get nervous, and with good reason. Historically, periods of higher rates usually come right before recessions. Yeah, that's right. The economic crisis that shaked the markets rarely arrive as a total surprise. The problem is that we're exactly at that point right now. But hold on. Talking about recessions isn't just about fear. I'm Chad from Zero Markets, and stick around because I will explain everything. In fact, if we look back at history, we discover that recessions are part of the natural cycle of the economy, and they even open the door to opportunities that wouldn't appear in times of continuous growth. Want to see for yourself? Recently, Deutsche Bank conducted a fascinating study. It analyzed 170 years of economic history and revealed 7 big lessons about how recessions emerge, repeat, and shape the future. And believe me, understanding these points is like having a map to navigate stormy seas. And I'm going to show you. Okay, first point out of 7. The interest rate warning sign. Whenever central banks raise rates, the risk of recession increases. Credit gets more expensive, consumption slows down, and companies cut investments. And that's exactly what happened before the 2008 crisis, and also back in the 1980s when the US raised rates to control inflation. We're in that scenario again today. Okay, second, recessions used to be much more common. In the past, especially before World War II, living through recessions was almost routine. Agricultural economies suffered from droughts, plagues, and production shocks. Later, even with industrialization, economic policies didn't aim to extend growth cycles for long. To give you an idea, until 1982, the average expansion lasted only 2.8 years, and economies were in contraction about 35% of the time. Today, it feels unthinkable to live with so much instability. The third point, recessions don't last that long. This is something a few people realize. Recessions are scary, but they aren't eternal. According to Capital Group, who analyzed 11 economic cycles since 1950, recessions last an average of just 10 months. It's tough, but it's temporary. It's like a storm. It's intense, but it passes. Enjoying this content? Then like this video, share it with friends who need to learn more about trading, and follow Zero Markets. All right, let's move on to the fourth point. Fourth, the cleansing role of recessions. They aren't only bad news. Many times they work as a necessary adjustment. Think of a forest. Natural fires may look destructive, but they also renew the soil so life can return stronger. In the economy, it works the same way. After a recession, resources tend to be reallocated more efficiently, and major growth cycles often emerge from these adjustments. Fifth, the central bank's dilemma today. In recent decades, governments and central banks tried to soften the impacts of crisis as much as possible, slashing rates aggressively, injecting liquidity, and increasing deficits. But today, with public debt at record levels, the room to maneuver is much smaller. This means the economy's protective shield is weaker. Sixth, the return of more frequent recessions. If in the past they were common, and now we have fewer tools to avoid them, the future may bring back this scenario of more recurring downturns. It's not an apocalyptic prediction. It's simply the logic of economic cycles when governments have less room to intervene. And finally, where to find safe havens for investments. And here's a crucial part for investors. Defensive sectors like consumer staples, energy, and utilities have historically outperformed the market during recessions. On top of that, bonds often act as a safe harbor, preserving capital while stocks swing wildly. In 2022, for example, even in an atypical scenario, bonds still played part of that refuge role. When we think about recessions, it's easy to focus only on the painful side, but history shows they're inevitable. They're temporary, and they're often necessary. They shape the economy, they correct excesses, and they prepare the ground for the next growth cycles. That's why, instead of just fearing the next crisis, the smart investor seeks to understand how to position themselves, taking advantage of the most resilient sectors, and remembering that in the long run, every downturn opens space for a new upswing. That's it, traders. If this content helped you see recessions with more clarity and less fear, make sure to subscribe here to the Zero Markets channel and to open an account with us. Turn on notifications and stay tuned for our upcoming content. See you soon.